Part 2. Revealing half of your cards is a common tactic in bluffing, meant to intimidate others while gauging their reactions. He couldn't scare me. Even if he did have 3 of a kind, it would still be smaller than my 3 kings. I had worried he might have 3 aces, but now it seemed my concerns were unfounded. Jason's show-off tactics had backfired, putting him in a corner. Of course, while I felt relaxed inside, I still gritted my teeth and said, I bet you're just trying to scare me. Are you in or out? Jason stared into my eyes as if trying to read my thoughts. Bluffing is all about performance and courage. At that moment, he was at a loss, and Uncle quickly urged him, don't bet. Can't you see he's not afraid of your cards? Jason's face twisted in anger as he said, if I don't bet, I'll lose the BMW and the 300,000. He must be trying to intimidate me. Normally, relatives would chime in with their opinions, but in this situation, no one dared to speak up. Because before the cards are revealed, it's impossible to tell what's real or fake. Jason nervously scanned the expressions of all the relatives. Every bet had been initiated by him. If he backed down now, he wouldn't be able to show his face among the family anymore. Finally, he called to his wife, come here. Jessica reluctantly approached the table. Jason told her to put up the 3 golds, because Jessica's were worth much more than Emily's. Unlike Emily, who had willingly offered her jewelry, Jessica refused to take hers off. At that moment, Jason panicked and quickly showed Jessica his cards. Jessica looked over the cards and immediately displayed her excitement, taking off all her gold jewelry and placing it on the table. With a grin, she said to me, come on, let's go all in. Don't regret it if you lose. Today, all our relatives will witness this. Anyone who backs out will have bad luck. I asked, are you saying we're going to show our cards? Jessica replied eagerly, why? Show? We're going all the way with you. Her greed was evident, but everyone else had already run out of chips. Suddenly, she took off her diamond ring and placed it on the table, declaring, I bought this ring for $50,000. I shook my head. I can't accept the ring. It's worth at most $100. Jessica got flustered, pointing at my nose and scolding, what do you know? Do you even understand what this is? This is a designer piece. It's Dr. I forced a smile and said, sister-in-law, I don't care what it is. To me, it's only worth $100. Just as she was about to retort, Jason suddenly chimed in, I'll put my house on the line. Gasps filled the room. Uncle exclaimed, don't be reckless. That house is in the city center. It's worth $150,000. Jason sneered, Dad, I'm not being reckless. Whatever I bet, he has to match. According to the rules of this game, each bet must be equal to or greater than the last. Little brother, do you have the cash to keep up? I fell silent because I couldn't possibly come up with that much money. Jason noticed my discomfort and burst into laughter, patting me on the shoulder. He said, some things you just can't afford to play with. I'm telling you straight, I'm taking advantage of your low stakes, but what can you do? I can pull out these bets easily, but you're betting your life savings, and you can't match it. Jessica smirked, so, are you in or out? If you're out, it's like folding. This was the unfairness of the rich and the poor at the poker table. The wealthy could casually throw down assets, while the poor were risking everything they had, often unable to keep up. With each bet, the pressure on the less fortunate grew exponentially. Just as Jason said, he was taking advantage of my lack of funds. I nervously glanced at Emily and Dad. My father was pale, struggling to understand how a simple game had escalated to this point. But Emily suddenly spoke up, my parents have a use they're leaving me. It's not in the city center, but it's still worth $500,000. I grabbed her hand, excitedly saying, no way. The wedding house is my responsibility, and I'm the one buying the 3 gold items. If I lose, we can break up, and it won't affect you. But if you put your family's belongings on the line, I could ruin your family. Emily replied coldly, we can't back down. If we do, we'll never stand tall again. I trust you won't do anything reckless. I trembled uncontrollably, but it was a tremble of happiness. I knew I was going to win. All of this was a performance for Jason, making him think I was just as anxious. But from Emily's perspective, it was different. She had no idea what my cards were, yet she was willing to risk everything alongside me. Jason mocked, there's a difference between houses, and you're still short $100,000. How do you plan to make that up? If you can't keep up, just get off the table and stop whining. I took a deep breath and finally said, the village is about to be demolished. My parents and my soon-to-be wife, that's 4 people. When the demolition compensation comes, it'll all go to you. Jessica burst into laughter, covering her mouth. Do you think this is Guangdong? We're in a rundown village. The compensation for 4 people will only be $60,000, and you're still short $40,000. She turned to Jason and said, I'm not trying to mock your relatives, but can they really scrape together that much? Jason replied nonchalantly, the way you're scrambling for bets is really pathetic. Sometimes, face is given by others, and sometimes it's lost by yourself. If you can't come up with enough, just fold. Uncle, seeing that I couldn't raise that much money, finally sighed in relief and said to Dad in a lecturing tone, your son doesn't know his limits. Now look, he can't keep up with the bets, and everything he put in is gone. Dad remained pale, standing there, swallowing hard, and said to me, why are you being so foolish? What else do you plan to bet? You've gambled away the whole family. I remained silent, continuously operating my phone to borrow from every online lending platform I could. In the end, I placed my phone in front of Jason, showing a balance of $400,000. Jason was momentarily stunned, saying, how do you have such a high limit? I explained, I borrowed from 8 platforms, all with my vehicle information recorded. I originally intended to use this money for the wedding, and I applied for limits from each platform to compare interest rates. I didn't expect it would come in handy now. Jason's anger turned to laughter as he bit down on a cigarette, saying, you're really something, borrowing online loans to gamble against me. Do you understand that if you can't pay this back, you'll ruin your life? I replied, I know, but it's fine. I'm here to play until the end. He asked, do you really want to push this to the breaking point? I countered, when Dad offered you a cigarette, didn't you shield the wind with your hand? Dad panicked, rushing to my side and grabbing my arm, saying, your brother is a big boss and doesn't sweat the small stuff. Don't gamble. There's no need to go so big. He didn't mean it.